Yep, it used to work, doesn't work anymore. Now your number one job when you get a lead, okay, ultimately to book it, right? Get a consultation. But your number one job until that two-way conversation happens is to build trust and rapport and be helpful. Because the generation is only going to do business with people they trust, they feel like they can talk to and build rapport with, and you're giving them something to be helpful to help build that trust.
Hey there, CEOs. Welcome to the Wedding Pro CEO podcast. I'm your host, Brandee, and every single week, my mission is to help you, the Wedding Pro entrepreneur, to build a profitable wedding business that you actually love. On today's show, I'm talking with Tom Chalednik of The Knot and Wedding Wire, or Wedding Pro, as you may know them. And we're talking all about why you're getting leads and they're not booking you, or why you feel like you're getting really not great leads. We're breaking it all down. And there are so many practical, helpful nuggets in this episode. And Tom brings just an incredible wealth of knowledge from working with thousands of wedding pros all over the country. I promise you're going to want a notepad for this one, and you're going to want to make sure that you're buckled in tight because this is going to be a game changer episode. So I cannot wait for you to listen to this one with Tom Chalednik. Hey, Tom, I am so excited to have you on the Wedding Pro CEO podcast. We go way back, and I'm thrilled that we have reconnected now that you're back at the Knot. And I'm excited to have you here. So thanks for coming.
No, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this for months.
I know. I feel like it's been forever. So for anybody that doesn't know you, Tom, which I feel like you know literally everyone in the wedding industry, but for anybody who doesn't know you, I'd love for you to tell us just a little bit about your history of getting into the wedding industry and what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So I used to sell Yellow Pages in the day, Yellow Page advertising when there wasn't such thing as the internet out there. So you had to be in the phone book for people that still remember the phone book. And then I realized, boy, that industry's going down. So I applied at a company called The Knot about 15 years ago, and a headhunter reached out to me and I interviewed twice, and I'm like, okay, this sounds like a pretty good company. I was at The Knot for about 12 years, many different jobs there: regional sales director, director of sales, training and enablement, leadership development. And then the merger happened of The Knot and Wedding Wire, and I was director of training and enablement at the time with the Wedding Wire side and the Knot side. I took about a year and a half and we merged the companies in the sales world. But I traveled about 70% of the time in the first 10 years at the Knot, speaking and learning from wedding pros such as yourself, and taking all that knowledge and accumulating it and sharing it and taking it back to the company and to other wedding pros. And then I got tapped on the shoulder after about 11 years or something from a wedding venue here in Florida called the Treasury Venue Collection. There are two Lux venues up in St. Augustine, and said, hey, do you want to be the COO here? And I thought, nah, I'm good. They tapped me again. I'm like, why not? This is an opportunity to be a real wedding professional, know what it's like to walk in your shoes and other venue shoes and planner shoes and deal with the day to day is, and not coming from a pulpit of I tell you what to do, but actually had to learn to do it. So I did that for 2 years in the midst of COVID and then after COVID, which was interesting, but it was about 3 hours away from my house, and it's not real good for your marriage to be that far away. I came back to the Knot. They asked me to come back, and I was thrilled to be back, and I've been back about a year now.
Oh my gosh. That's exciting. And I agree with you. I think it's so great that you took the opportunity to actually get into the field and see what's going on with these wedding vendors, especially venues. I think I managed a venue for 3 years. And I think one of the differences with a venue versus most of the rest of us is that if a venue is not booked, you're actually losing money.
Ice cream melting on the shelf. If somebody's not in your venue, if that date's not booked, I always looked at it, walked through the ballroom thinking, still paying for electric, still paying for the
Staff, all the
employees,
things.
staff. Yes.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Whereas as a wedding planner, and for most of the other pros that are listening to this, yes, it stinks when you're not booked, but you're not losing money. You're just not making money. And so I think that's such a unique challenge for venues. I love that you're so passionate about venues too. I'm excited to see what you end up doing with that passion for venues, because I know something amazing is going to come out of it. I want to talk a little bit about why you came back to the knot. So
Okay.
tell us really what your role is there. I know you and I have spoken very candidly off camera. I think the knot has gone through a major transition, with the merger. So tell us a little bit about why you're back at the knot and what made you come back.
So really what made me come back to the knot was it got me home. It kept me in the same industry too. Like
Sure.
I'm passionate about this industry. I wanted to come back to a company that had that same passion about the industry. As any two big large companies merges, they have to do things differently. I mean, they spent billions of dollars on,
Mhm.
on merging these two companies. And both Wedding Wire and the Knot each had its place in the market. There's only a 1% crossover of couples that use Wedding Wire or couples that use the Knot, which is amazing to me. That was a
That is
big
amazing.
takeaway when they really did the research, like how many couples are on both.
Mm.
And the Knot couple versus the Wedding Wire couple is a little different. So as we merged and went through the whole merger process of systems and procedures, and we're still quite frankly going through all that, they wanted me to come back into a role of going in the field like the Knot used to do, talking to wedding professionals, going to site visits, doing things like this at Wedding Pro CEO, WIPA, ABC, Wedding MBA, all of those things, and just get our face and voice and our brand back out there, knowing that, hey, we got away from a little of the things that we used to do that were
Mhm.
probably the right things to do. And now we're getting back to do those things and being the force in the wedding industry, the brand in the wedding industry that we actually are. So that's my passion. That's why I came back. So when I originally came back, I was director of wedding pro support and customer service, which we've
Okay.
now increased the number of customer service people. I have now been in sales, managing a sales team a little bit, getting my feet wet back into there, helping with the leadership there, marketing, relooking at all of our marketing and what we're doing not only for couples but how we're marketing to our wedding pros. I'm also in product a little bit, like how can we improve our product? It's yes,
Mhm.
it's all about leads too, but what other products can we bring to the table for wedding pros to use to increase their visibility and get more qualified leads? So
Mhm.
the biggest part of my job now, though, is going in the field, talking, shaking hands, identifying through clients, through big roundtables, small roundtables, what we're doing well and what we need to improve upon, and then I take that back to the company. So
So
that's
good.
exciting.
It
It's my
is.
wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is like helping wedding pros be successful. Like I don't know everything, but I've talked to thousands and
Mhm.
thousands of wedding pros, and everybody's a little different, of course, but hey, try doing this or try doing that or try doing that. It's not just coming from a place of the big corporation of the Knot and Wedding Wire. The knowledge that we're sharing is coming from a place of this is what is working for other people. The Knot's not responding to leads. We are just that conduit to be able to get the leads to you and you respond to the leads. But we want to be able to say, hey, this is what's working, this is what isn't working. And that's what I love so much about doing your summit. That's what we
Yeah.
talked about is all
Yeah.
like lead responses and how much you're following up and things like that and helping. Generation Z is a different world.
It really is. And Tam, I'm just so excited about this because I will say the knot was my number one lead generator for a decade in my company. Anybody that would say to me, "Oh, I'm just not sure about the knot," I would always be like, I don't get the most amount of leads from the knot, but I get the best leads from the knot and they convert into contracts. And when the merger happened, I felt like there was so much that was very challenging for my company, and we stopped advertising with the knot, which and I was so honestly sad because I was like, it's still the number one place that couples go when they get engaged. Like they
Absolutely.
go to the knot, they go pick up the knot, that's the resource. And I was like, I hate that I don't want to be on this platform anymore, but I'm such a customer service based person, and I was just like, I can't in good conscience. And so when you reached out to me, I was very candid with you, like, Tom, I don't know, like I feel like there's been some lost relationship there, and I love that you are back in this position because
Great.
exactly what you said to me, which is like, we know, and we're so excited to really reconnect with our wedding pros and to help them know that we're here for them. And I think that got lost in translation for a while. And so I love that that's been noticed. And it's like, yeah, this is why you're here. And you're so passionate about it. Like
Mm,
anytime I see you out with other wedding pros, people know who you are because you care. And they remember your name, Tom, because you care. And so I'm really, really excited
Uh,
that you partnered with us on the summit, and I'm so excited to have you here today. And I really want to talk a little bit today about what you talked about at the summit, which was lead generation and honestly, why we're not booking clients, whether that's from the knot or just from general inquiries from our
yeah,
website,
absolutely.
right? It's really all the same process. And you and I talked before the summit. You were like, I just want to make sure like I'm going in the right direction. Do you love this? And I was like, you are speaking my love language on this, because so often we think, oh, people are just ghosting us or they didn't book me and I don't know why. And honestly, so often the problem is us. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. Tell me, what is the big overarching theme of lead generation and getting more of those leads to close? Tell us a little bit about that process.
Well, let's start at the top as far as leads, right? I was at a venue in Miami. Beautiful venue, gorgeous. $10 million they put into this venue. $10 million, beautiful. Getting tons of leads from the knot. Tons, like in 4 months, I got 330 leads in 4 months. Tons of leads. They only had 32 tours and booked zero. So you don't have a lead problem, you have a booking problem, right? But it sort of becomes a lead problem too if we back it up. As I looked at their website and as I looked at their Knot and Wedding Wire storefronts, I looked at their social media, they had an identity crisis problem. They didn't know who their ideal client was. They were this beautiful venue and they were showing pictures of a pig picking, barbecue place. It was all over the place. So the first off, to get the quality of leads you want is take a step back. Think of the past 10 clients you had that you liked working with and that you made money on, and make the list. Do the demographics of Tom and Cindy and Brandee and Steve and whoever it is, their age, their income, their education, where they live, all the demographic part of it. But take it a step further. And this is where people don't do this historically. And let's talk about the psychographics of that person. What are their hobbies? What are their lifestyles? What are their passions? And you will find similarities, not only in the demographic, that's pretty easy, the demographic. You'll find similarities in the psychographics of maybe their passion is rock climbing or outdoorsy adventure and things like that. And that's your passion as the wedding pro. Put
Yep.
that out there. Put that out there in blogs. Put that out there in Instagram. Put that out there in your website and start connecting to the people that you like to work with, that you make money, and more likely you're going to be able to close more of those. So that's number one. You should be able to ask anybody in the wedding pro industry who's your ideal client is, and they should be able to, in 1 minute, say not only their age and their income and how much they're spending, but also what their passion and what their hobbies are.
Mm. And where they're hanging out. I think that's massively important. I love that you said that. You're like, you don't have a lead problem, you have a booking problem. But actually, maybe you do have a lead problem because all these leads that are coming in are so confused. They don't even know what you're about to sell them. So, step one would be to really look at the quality of leads that are coming in and whether your marketing matches what you're actually trying to sell them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
And
good.
you can't say, oh, all the leads that are coming in from wherever they're coming in from, they're crappy leads when you're not putting the message out there what type of leads that you actually want. And it's not that hard. I know when I was running the venue, and even before I was running my venues up there, they sat down every 6 months and they did an ideal client poster board,
Okay.
because their ideal clients change. Even
Yeah.
within the venue, we knew our ideal client very well, spending a lot of money, high end, et cetera, et cetera. But during COVID and after COVID, we were still getting those types of leads, but we weren't booking as many. Then we realized there's subsets of that ideal client. So here you have the person that's spending $80,000 to $120,000 on their wedding, but where's their tolerance for planning? And we were just offering space pretty
Yeah.
much. We were having no problems booking those, but we weren't booking as many. So then we had packages that we created for the Eat, Drink, and Be Married package, and then the all inclusive package. And 3 days later, we started booking them because it was still our ideal clients, but you have subsets of the ideal client.
Yeah.
So
I work with both of those venues often and I love them so much. Like I think it's one of the best run venue groups really ever. They do such a good job. Tell us about the next step. So making sure our marketing matches what we're actually trying to sell. And then what else should we be looking for?
okay, so we get in a lead. You should remember you paid for that lead, no matter where the lead
Mm,
came from. Referral, a vendor friend, you're on a list, Google, not wedding, or wherever the lead came from. You take that lead and you treat it like gold because you paid for that lead. Remember that you paid
yeah.
for that lead. So you want to respond, I'm sure everybody knows this, you want to respond as quickly as possible. Generation Z has an attention span that's a little longer than a goldfish. It's about 12 seconds. But when you're responding, you want to answer their question and face it. What are they asking when you get a lead? Are you available and what's the price?
Mm,
Answer those questions right up front. Congratulations, I'm so happy on your possibly choosing us to do your wedding. The good news is I'm available on August 15th and our prices begin at X. You
yep,
don't have to go into the details. Don't go into the details. And those emails should be no longer than 100 words. I think Brandee, you always shared with me that if it's more than two swipes, they're not looking at on your like thumb
on
swipes,
your
right?
mobile phone. Yep,
On your
yep,
mobile phone.
yep,
Absolutely. So you reply and you always end it in an ended question. Hey,
yeah,
I'm obsessed with colors and themes. What are you thinking with your colors for your wedding? Because if
yep,
you prompt them, they're more likely to respond from that prompt. So within
yeah.
as quickly as humanly possible, you follow up with that first email.
That first email, like Tom's saying, you want it to be as quick as possible because they are shopping now. So honestly, even if that's a frequently asked questions, a couple of quick questions that they would typically answer that you can link. It's your pricing, your basic pricing, and then a simple link to book a consult or a quick question like Tom just said, a really easy question that they can answer. I love then that gives you a little bit of freedom to follow up personally as soon as possible. Again, with yes, we're available for your date. I love your venue. It has the best lighting. How did you choose it? Or whatever, but a really easy question. Like, don't
Yep.
ask them, what's your budget? Like, they're not going to answer that question.
They're not gonna answer that.
No,
Absolutely.
something fun and easy.
And don't attach PDFs and price
No.
lists and all of that. I have a friend that I shared this in the summit too. He called the world was ending because their leads are down and they have availability in September and October and they never have availability in September, October. I said, David, let's take a look at what you're doing. Have you changed anything? No, I haven't changed anything in 2 years. That's the first problem. You haven't changed anything in 2 years. And his first email was 650 words and he
Ugh.
had 7 attachments.
Oh my gosh.
No
And they're not
wonder,
going to open them.
they're not going to open it. They're not going to open it.
It's so
So,
overwhelming. Too, with Canva, y'all, come on. Like with Canva or hidden pages on your website, a simple when you say our packages start at, link your packages right there. If they want to click it, great. If they don't, that's fine too. But answer
right.
their question very, very simply. Don't get into a dissertation about who you are and how many weddings
Nope.
you've planned. And crazy enough, Tom, that is what we used to do because that
Yes, I
used to
know.
work, right?
Yep, it used to work. Doesn't work anymore. Now
No,
your number one job when you get a lead, okay, ultimately to book it, get a
of
consultation,
course.
but your number one job until that two-way conversation happens is to build trust
Yep.
and rapport and be helpful because the
Hmm.
generation is only going to do business with people they trust, they
Yep.
feel like they can talk to and build rapport with, and you're giving them something to be helpful to help build that trust. That's the bottom line. The other interesting fact is when we'll talk about wedding planners, when a
Yeah.
couple finds a wedding planner, they're probably and messaging wedding planner, they're probably emailing 3 or 4 other wedding planners at the same time.
Sure.
Fact of life.
Yep.
And they might be, when they're looking for a wedding planner, they might be also looking for photography at the same time. So at
Mhm.
that point, wedding planners and photographers, they just sent 10 emails out
Yeah.
and now they're getting 10 replies back and their inbox is just growing and growing and growing. So when clients come to me and say, "Oh, everybody's ghosting me. Everybody's ghosting me." You're not ghosted. You're lost in their inbox
Yep.
because you only sent 1 or 2 emails. And when my daughter got married and I watched her from afar planning she got engaged on a Saturday. Sunday, she signed on to my not laptop computer and started doing all these inquiries. And I signed in Monday morning. I'm like, what's going on? What is all this? What is all this? And I said, Morgan, what are you doing? She says, we got to get busy. I'm excited. I'm excited. I said, you don't have a date and you don't have a place. And most importantly, you don't have a budget yet because we haven't talked about that. But that's what a lot of these couples are doing. They're just excited.
Yep.
But then when she calms down and she's going back into her inbox and she's looking at the people who replied a bunch of times,
Mhm.
those are the ones that she was emailing back.
Yeah, and
So,
you're staying top of mind, and I think we forget about that. Yes, there are people who are ready to book today, and that's amazing. But there are people exactly like you're talking about that are just excited. They're gathering information. Sometimes they're not even engaged yet. They're like, I want to start gathering information because I know it's coming any day. And that has to be okay. It's not ideal, obviously, to have a bunch of people shopping, but that's what happens. And it's just an exciting time of
Yep.
life. So staying top of mind. Tell us a little bit about the follow ups, Tom, because I know people always push back on me when I say we follow up 5 times. I know that you could probably go on even longer than that, right? But people are always like, oh my gosh, that feels so obnoxious.
The same thing. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be
Yeah.
pushy. I'm like, number one, you're in sales, right? Even if you don't think you're in sales and you're responding to leads or you own your business, you're in sales. So
Yes.
stop that. Number
Yeah.
two, like I said at the beginning of this, you paid for the lead. Stay at the top of their inbox for 30 days.
Yep.
That's enough. 30 days. So what does that look like? In the perfect scenario, and what I've seen running the venues and talking to other people, that means 7 touch points.
Okay.
And that might be overwhelming to some,
Yep.
but some other people are doing 15 and 20. They're doing a ton. I like that easy number of 7 to read. So it's day 1, day 3, day 8, day 16, like I went through on the summit.
Yep.
So again, no more than 100 words. And
Okay.
within those emails, we want to build rapport and be helpful. So
Mm,
maybe one of those emails we're talking about as a wedding planner, hey, many of our couples have used this timeline template to plan their wedding. I'm sharing that with you. Here you go. You haven't even
mhm.
talked to this couple yet, but you're showing that you're being helpful.
Yep.
So, boom, there's a big star for you when they open that. There's another email that goes out. I always think it's always like a sense of urgency email, right? It's a promotion. We're more likely, our brain is more likely to think, oh, I need to handle this quickly if I'm going to get that. So
Yep.
maybe as a wedding planner, it's added couple of hours of coverage, or you have a decor upgrade that you can do, or something
Yep.
like that. It's not just a 20% off, but it's added service,
Mhm.
right? So
Yep.
then another email is showing your personality,
Yep.
saying, hey, are you lost? What's happening in your world? I'm getting worried about you. I've sent you a couple of emails. A minimum of Brandee, I think, is 5 over the
Yep.
course of 30 days for sure. Some of them will do a little longer, some will do a little shorter. But what I'm seeing is the sweet spot is 30 days for that. And then again, always end every email in an open ended question. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about your business. Like as a wedding planner, it could be one of your questions. Have you thought about signature drinks? What signature drinks are you thinking about? You know what I mean? Or it could be, what about your first dance or
Yep.
something like that? Prompt them,
Mhm.
show personality to it. So 30 days. In
Okay.
my world, I want to say 7 follow ups,
Yep.
but at least 5. At
Yep.
least 5.
And I don't disagree with 7 either. I 100% agree with 30 days. And I think what Tom touched on is what I want you guys to hear. We're not saying to go follow up 5 or 7 times and say, "Are you ready to book me yet? I'm
That's
following up. Where are you on?" No, like add value every time. And one of the things that I think is such a fun trick, I'm constantly telling my listeners, you need to be blogging, you need to be blogging, you need to be blogging. Listen, those blogs come in handy with these emails too, because if you can have 2 to 5 evergreen blogs that you've written on your website that are helpful to your audience, like the timeline, right? Like how to think about your timeline on your wedding day, or 5 essential items that you need for your wedding day, or whatever, how to have the budget conversation, right? Whatever it is for your demographic, having those blogs and then linking to those blogs and these emails of saying, hey, I know that a lot of times people are struggling with the budget conversation early on. Here's a great blog we've written to help you have those conversations with your parents or with your family. And linking to those blogs can get traffic to your website. It then helps them to see other things about you. It's providing that information over and over and over again. So I feel like writing some of these great evergreen blogs, they have so much value because you can link them in so many places, but it really poses you as an expert as well, because now you've helped them, but it also helps them to see that you really know what you're talking about. Like you're an expert and you're already helping them.
that's really smart. The statistics on blogs, couples are demographics are still reading them. They
Yep.
just aren't reading the long ones. So
Yep.
keep it
Short and
short,
sweet.
keep it sweet. It's got to be more than 100 words, obviously.
Sure.
And offer bullets, absolutely, and offer some sort of takeaway, a downloadable
Hmm.
something.
Yep.
The generation wants something. So think through that. Again, the mindset of many wedding professionals out there are like, oh, I feel like I'm being intrusive and I'm
Yeah.
stalking them. Hey,
Yeah.
they came to you for information and help.
Yep.
You've it's you, they've opened the door. You're not knocking on somebody's door. They've already let you in the door. Not only on the emails, if you have that wonderful phone number that we all want so
Oh
bad,
my
right?
gosh, yes.
You have the phone number, you are emailing and you are texting or calling. You email on a Tuesday, you text or
Yep.
call on a Wednesday. It's constant. One tip that I've used, other wedding pros have shared with me that
Yeah.
works too, is even in the first email, what is your preferred method of communication? Phone,
Ooh, that's good.
text, email. On your contact us page, what
Yep.
is your preferred method of communication? We do these huge wedding studies at the Knot with thousands and thousands of couples. They prefer you to reply the same way they sent you a lead. So if
Hmm.
they sent you a lead by phone, you call by phone. If they sent you a lead by text, if you they email it, keep it in that same format. Especially on the Knot and Wedding Wire too. If you get a lead on the Knot and Wedding Wire and it comes through, most of
The
them use
app.
the apps,
Yep.
right? So they're responding on the app. So when it comes into your box, Brandee, and you email from the dashboard from the Knot or Wedding Wire, they get the little number one that comes up on their phone. Oh, you have a message,
Yeah.
right? But they also get it in their Gmail account too. So until you get a two-way conversation going, stay
Hmm.
within our platform because historically, 98% of them are using the app.
Yeah.
So
And I agree with you. At Blush, we do the same thing. It's if they call, we call back. However, they reach out, we reach back out the first time. We also, on our contact us form, say, is it okay for us to text you? Because we ask for their phone number anyway. And if they say it's okay for us to text them, I guarantee you that first communication is going to be by text because they answer more quickly, and so often we can develop a relationship via text really quickly. Like our sales manager is great about asking honestly silly questions about, if they have a dog or where they like to go for drinks or whatever. And she'll send pictures back and forth like, oh my gosh, you have a Labradoodle. I have a Golden Retriever and her name's Zelda. And really helps to create that personalization quickly. And if they said it's okay to text, then it's
text
okay to
away.
text.
Absolutely. And I see this time and time again, but the number one lead response that we received back at the venues at the Treasury was that last ditch email, we called it, which
Yes.
many of you probably heard it, but it said, "Hey, Brandee, I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm getting worried. What's happening? One of three things have happened here.
Yep.
Oh, you're no longer getting married? Oh, that's sad. You found another venue? Oh, that's sad for us. Who are you using? Or you're just overwhelmed with wedding planning and you're binging Netflix. What type of popcorn would you like? Microwave or stovetop?" And if they would say they want microwave, we literally would then get their address and send them microwave popcorn.
That's
You know what I
funny.
mean? But that was the number one response because it showed so much personality in
Yeah.
it. Now, some wedding pros will say, I would never say that, oh, you're no longer getting married. That can offend somebody. Whatever your personality is, come
Yep.
up with something else. But you want some shock factor there,
That's right. But
you know?
I'm so glad that you touched on that because I would be one of those wedding pros who would say, I would never say, like, oh, you're not getting married anymore. But our last email, 100% is written very similarly in our voice. It does let them know, like, hey, we haven't heard back from you at all. Obviously, you either have found another planner or you are overwhelmed with planning. Either way, we don't want to be a nuisance in your inbox. So this will be the last email that you get from us. And I cannot tell you how many people respond to that email. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. No, I do want to connect with you. I've just been so busy. And we're like, yes. When you let them know this is the last time you're going to chase them, that you're going to come forward, they tend to write back and say, no, 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 no. I definitely want to meet with you. I've just been busy. Or can we go ahead and set up a consultation for next month because I'm taking the bar exam or whatever? Just because they're ghosting you, I think we take it so personally,
Hmm.
but I know as a consumer myself, like right before this podcast time, I knew I had 20 minutes and I was shopping for a washer and dryer. But guess what? Then I got a few in my cart and now my day started. And who knows when I'll go back to looking
That's
at a washer and dryer because I don't
100%.
actually need it today. I'm not necessarily ghosting, right? I had a few minutes to shop, put out some feelers. Now I'll go back to it when I get a chance, but staying top of mind, I guarantee you Lowe's is going to start sending me emails every single day saying, "Oh, you have stuff in your cart. You have stuff in your cart."
And
And
eventually you're going to respond to that, right? But
I
but
will.
if Home Depot's was sending you those emails above Lowe's, you would have probably picked Home Depot, right? Think of it the same way. If you're not staying at the top of their inbox, they're not ghosting you. You've just gotten lost. And then to go
100%.
all the way back to the beginning, you got to think, Are these the type of leads that you want? Are you
Yeah,
projecting your image and your brand? If somebody only has $1,000 to spend on a wedding planner, that's okay if that's what you're willing to
sure.
take. But if you're $10,000 wedding planner and above, no wonder they're ghosting you because you're
Yep.
not sending the right message out there, or you don't
Yes.
have any pricing on your website, which is a whole nother podcast I think we can do in the
The pricing
future.
debate is like the most heated wedding industry
Oh,
debate ever, and that would totally be its own podcast. But Tom, honestly, we could talk about leads for hours. You're so knowledgeable about it. One, because you get to see it from the side of the knot, but not even just that. You just speak with so many wedding pros in all the different categories across all the states. And so you really have such a great knowledge of this. I know that you had a download that everybody can grab. Can you tell us a little bit
we
about that?
do. So I partnered with another wedding professional out there, and we came up with 10 ways to market to Generation Z.
Okay.
And inside of that, there's like little pro tips. Please click on the link, fill out the form, and get that downloadable form. We've gotten really great reviews for it. Even if you
Good.
just need the peace of mind that, yes, I'm doing this, yes, I'm doing this, yes, I'm doing this, that
Mhm.
is well worth you clicking on that and downloading the form.
100%. And it feels crazy that we're talking about Gen Z. I feel like we've talked about millennials until our heads are about to just like explode. But Gen Z is here. They're in our marketplace, you guys. They are buying, they are here. And it's important to understand how differently, and it's different, how differently they buy from millennials or Gen X. That's not to say that you should only market to Gen Z. Really be thoughtful about who your ideal customer is. If you market to a mature couple, you're probably still marketing to millennials, right? What Gen Z
26
is
year old,
what, 26?
26. The oldest is 26 right now.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, they're coming. We should be thoughtful about how we can market to millennials and Gen Z and really be thoughtful about how you're following up with them and all of these things. But we're going to put the link for that download in the show notes, you guys. So make sure that you go grab that. And Tom, how can people connect with you or follow you if they want to learn more?
I have
Instagram?
to think my Instagram. Yeah. It's Tom, Tom underscore Chelednik, Chelednik on Instagram. If you can put that there also. And then
Yeah, we'll
maybe you
put
can
that
put
link.
in the show notes my email address there would be great too. It's
Absolutely.
just tchelednik at the notww.com. I'll leave you
Yeah,
something that I think is very interesting with the Generation Z. 63% of the parents of Generation Z are paying for significant amounts of their wedding. So if that is your clientele, which is about to be everybody's
sure.
clientele, you got to throw some bones to the relatives and the parents. What
Yep.
I've been seeing a big trend with is wedding pros doing an FAQ page on their website just for parents and relatives.
I love
Because
it.
they're probably not finding, the parents probably not finding Brandee, the
Yeah.
couple's finding Brandee, but then they say, oh, check out Brandee's website, check out Blush. And oh, and there's a section just for me as the dad or the mom.
Yeah.
Boom, connection there. It's happening. Statistically, it's happening, and I'm seeing more and more websites with that.
That's really interesting statistic because I love that you need to stay up on your marketing for both generations. You need to really be thoughtful about who your buyer is.
Think of Facebook.
Yeah,
Is
I,
it
I mean,
Generation Z on Facebook? Not so much, but the
no,
parents are. So all of a sudden, Facebook is resurging with wedding pros out there.
you
So,
have to have a Facebook. You have
yep.
to. There's just too many generations that still use it and love it. And sorry, guys, but you got to be on all the platforms. Tom, thank you so much. And you guys, thank you so much for being here every single week. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.